Thanks for watching Hip Hop Legal and Hip Hop Lawyers. Hey, 12. They keep hating because we expose controlled schizophrenia, sonic conditioning, as well as the fact that
They watching, they listening.
The narcs trying to hang us from the same noose.
Everybody's a potential informant.
The thing is, you only got to fuck up once. Be a little slow, be a little late, just once. And how you ain't gonna never be slow, never be late? You can't plan for no shit like this, man. It's life.
facts. But yo, we back to further define the phenomena from the lens of predictive policing, data's role in future crime. Future crime? Yeah, future crime. In this video, we are going to dissect how crime gets viewed through a crystal ball, unpacking predictive policing. The sci-fi dream of preventing crime before it happens. Is it here? Look at it like this. Remember the scene from New Jack City when Pookie and Scotty tried to make a deal?
Ever and ever, can I get an amen?
Amen.
Pookie couldn't help himself, saw all that cash, and of course decided he had to run off on the plug. Pookie tried to run. Pookie ends up getting shot in the right Achilles heel, and the kids in the playground get exposed to drug violence. The tools that law enforcement have at their disposal in this day and age allow them to map hot zones so that they would have gotten the early warning indicators, if you will, and then gotten in front of Scotty and Pookie's interaction and maybe stop that whole violent situation from taking place so that the kids at the very least didn't have to see that. Now that's just me coming up with an idea off the top of my head as to what stands to reason would be done. When you got the vast amount of resources and tools that law enforcement in this day and age has at their disposal, and you are trying to solve crimes and be more efficient, you're gonna definitely use the hot zone concept. No? And of course, the core concept as it relates to predictive policing, we believe it's using historical data and algorithms to forecast crime likelihood. Now take a second to appreciate the picture on your screen. That's the infamous O Block, and we got all the infamous members standing outside vibing while one of them pours out a little liquor for the homies that ain't here. Now, also what you have in this picture are various phones being scooped up by a pool cleaning net. Some phone screens got bottles of pills, some phone screens have a syringe, and other phone screens have the dollar sign. What does all of that mean? Crime is likely known ahead of time, therefore, crime is dead. Now, let's delve into the data. What feeds the machine? Let's begin with this concept. Predictive policing systems are only as smart as the data we feed them. And that data is steeped in human bias, historical inequality, and institutional blind spots. The data sources, crime reports. These systems ingest decades of arrest records, police incident reports, and 911 calls. But remember, these don't reflect where crime actually happens. They reflect where policing happens. The next data source, demographics, neighborhood level data, age, income, unemployment, race, and education levels all become algorithmic ingredients. The risk, they reinforce stereotypes about who or where is dangerous. Environmental and contextual data. Some systems factor in weather patterns, e.g., more assaults in hot months, sporting events, or paydays, treating human behavior like seasonal forecast. On the digital side, this is where it gets interesting. There are some next-gen systems out there that can hypothetically pull information from social media sentiment or feelings, keyword trends, or even Bluetooth and cell tower data analyzing public mood or social risk. From arrest records to weather apps, from census stats to social posts, every bite of human behavior gets scooped up, polished, and rebranded as insight. But what if those insights were just old prejudices dressed in digital armor? Inside the black box, the algorithm's thought process. Now pull back the curtain. Predictive policing runs on machine learning models, pattern recognition engines that see humans as clusters of probabilities. The algorithm scans past data to find patterns between time, location, and reported crimes. For example, car break-ins tend to spike near downtown parking lots after concerts. The system then generates forecasts, like the weather, marking zones or individuals as high risk based on the reoccurrence of those patterns. This creates a feedback loop, but we'll let you determine if that's a problem. When officers patrol these high-risk zones more often, they find more crime or more minor offenses, confirming the system's prediction. Thus, some might argue that these algorithms don't predict crime, they produce it through attention bias. Let me give you a hip-hop metaphor to make it make sense. Let's say you got a DJ digging in the crates for some samples, but instead of soul records, he looking through arrest logs. All right? So check it. Whatever track he loops the most, that becomes the next hit. The only difference in this mix is the sample is human life and the rhythm is bias. Whatever happens in a box similar to the one that you see on your screen is anyone's guess. But when you peek at the results, you'll find the same neighborhoods, the same faces, the same stories, predicted to fail again and again. The heat map, visualizing the future of surveillance, hotspot mapping. Predictive policing software often displays red zones, small, high-risk areas. The system flags for increased patrols. You have Predpol, for example, or HunchLab as another example, but they have maps that divide a city into 500 by 500 foot cells, color-coded by risk score. And then we have one of the more controversial aspects of predictive policing: hot individuals. Now, some systems don't just map places, they map people using arrest history, known associates, and social networks. They build risk list or heat list. What we'll say is this: just imagine the various lists that are out there. That's why it's only right that we add the ethical note that these visualizations blur the line between prediction and presumption. A red dot on a map can become a reason for a stop, a search, or surveillance, turning probability into persecution.
What is hot?
Oh, you can't burn up all you boys like barbecue.
Predicted crime activity.
82% confident.
Confidence. For whom? On paper, it's data-driven precision. Shouts to youtube.com/@theprofessionaltester. On the streets, it's deja vu. The same blocks light up. The same faces get stopped. The algorithm doesn't break the cycle, it beautifies it. The ethical minefield, the dark side of data policing. If data is the new oil, predictive policing is the refinery. But what happens when the crude is contaminated with centuries of bias? Predictive policing trains on past policing data, which is already tainted by racially biased practices. The algorithm doesn't invent prejudice, it inherits it. And in machine learning, inherited bias becomes institutional immortality. For instance, if historically more black men were arrested for loitering in certain neighborhoods, the system interprets that as more crime in those areas, thus justifying more patrols. And so the loop tightens. The result, over-policing by design under the banner of objectivity. The algorithm doesn't see race, but it feels it. It absorbs the rhythm of discrimination until prejudice becomes math, precise, silent, and self-justifying.
We're gonna look into your life, Martel. We're gonna run your criminal record and talk to everybody you know, and if we see anything about you and Deshaun Troy having any contact, we're gonna look into your life.
Let's talk about the privacy concerns. Predictive systems pull from public and private data sources, social media, credit reports, license plate readers, cell tower pings, facial recognition. When combined, these data sets form a behavioral signature, a digital dossier of potentiality. The question becomes, who owns your future self? There's also the matter of data permanence. Once flagged as high risk, that label can follow a person across jurisdictions in years, even without conviction. In the name of safety, surveillance became a lifestyle. And somehow, between the scroll and the search bar, privacy became passé. Predictive policing promises to stop crimes before they happen. But when prediction turns into prevention, prevention can turn into preemption. When does identifying high-risk individuals cross into punishing people for who the algorithm thinks they might become?
I'm sure you all understand the legalistic drawback to pre-crime methodology.
Here we go again.
That was a scene from the 2001 movie Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise. Fair use. This movie best represents what's taking place at the grassroots level in 2025. Check out this next scene to understand the dilemma.
You're talking about predetermination, which happens all the time. Why'd you catch that?
Because it was gonna fall.
You're certain?
Yeah.
But it didn't fall. You caught it. The fact that you prevented it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
You ever get any false positives?
They call it safety, but history might call it pre-crime. That's why we at Hip Hop Legal / Hip Hop Lawyers created the Pre-Crime Institute, the neuro-sovereignty think tank. Take a moment to go to that YouTube page, which is youtube.com/@precrime.institute, just as it's written on the screen. PRECRIME.INSTITUTE. Pause this video, go on over there, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell. Then come on back over here. Hey there, welcome back. Let's talk about some successes and setbacks. If the picture on the screen does not offend you, please also subscribe to our YouTube page, as well as our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Hip-Hop Lawyers. Credit to Lupe Fiasco, along with Alex Nazari. Please look up the video, Ital Roses, and give those individuals their flowers. Enough of that. let's talk about some of the documented success as it relates to a few of predictive policing initiatives that are out there. Let's start off with Los Angeles. Of course, we know that they're known for the self-cleaning oven concept. Oh, you didn't know? Well, we'll save that for another video. But these days, Los Angeles is touting their Predpol initiative. As you can see on your screen there, that's what it looks like. But they, along with Santa Cruz, are seeing reductions as it relates to burglary and property crimes during a pilot phase that has been taking place. Another program that's out there is the Memphis Blue Crush. This program uses analytics to deploy resources more efficiently, correlating with short-term drops in certain crime categories. These successes often come with caveats, small data sets, short time spans, and non-replicable conditions. In these instances, for a moment, the numbers glowed with promise. Fewer burglaries here, fewer robberies there. It looked like science had finally cracked the code of chaos. Then, of course, came the unintended consequences. Subsequent audits revealed troubling patterns, over-policing in Black and Latino neighborhoods, disproportionate arrest for minor offenses, and false correlations. Santa Cruz eventually became the first U.S. city to ban predictive policing after realizing it reproduced racial disparities. In some cases, crime reduction wasn't due to prediction, but increased patrol saturation that found more technical violations. Experts call this statistical laundering, making discrimination look like data integrity. The algorithm didn't end bias, it optimized it. It made inequality look efficient. What do you guys think?
You know, it's a tool like radar. We go where the data points us. But you see, as a civil liberties advocate, I believe that's exactly the problem. The data points to the same communities, because that's where the system has always looked.
But let me say, from a data standpoint, predictive policing is not about crime. It's about predicting the state, where they will apply force next.
Well, interesting points. As far as the future of justice, where do we go from here? As algorithms grow more powerful, police officers become risk and data responders.
Well, as far as the future of justice is concerned, the question becomes, where do we go from here?
Come on up, Sarge.
Hey, dog. Hey.
Yo. Well, listen, what I think is as algorithms grow more powerful, police officers risk becoming data responders rather than investigators, reacting to risk scores instead of human context.
This mean though actually, I have proposed.
Let me stop you right there, Professor. I know where you're going with this one. You're going to talk about the real test of progress and how it's not whether tech replaces instinct, but whether it augments wisdom. Right? Indeed. Justice still requires judgment, something no algorithm can replace.
You can teach a machine to find patterns, but can you teach it empathy, mercy, or doubt? The sacred glitches that make us human.
The bottom line is that without oversight, predictive policing becomes a black market of justice. That's why I say we call for federal and state level algorithmic accountability frameworks. Mandatory audits, transparent training data, community oversight boards, opt-out mechanisms for citizens. And we can connect it to Pre-Crime Institute's mission, building ethical frameworks that use predictive tools responsibly. If technology can predict crime, it can also predict corruption. And that's where it gets interesting. What happens when the self-cleaning oven concept expands into various aspects of life? Crime is dead. Watch The Wire. Stay safe. As predictive tools expand into schools, workplaces, and healthcare, we must decide what kind of future we're building. The question isn't what can data predict, it's what do we want it to predict about us. Reframe justice as a system of preventing harm without predicting guilt. Yo, stop, breathe, and think, my.
Y'all see all the drug dealers walking through the motherfucking like this? That's how Tupac was walking through the motherfucking thing like.
Don't trip, we got you. The fork in the road is here. One path leads to control, the other to consciousness. The future and our ability to have autonomy depends on us recognizing and making adjustments. Holla back. This kind of content is very dangerous in their eyes, because if even a small percentage of you would take heed to some of these things I've been presenting here, they wouldn't have jobs anymore. For me, that's real criminal justice reform. It's only right that somebody play it this way.